back to another episode of Author Interviews with Jazz and Prose. I am your host, Sai, and today we are here with the lovely Diane Wallace for her book, The Consciousness Conundrum. Okay, welcome, Miss Wallace. How are you today?
I'm really good, thank you.
Good, awesome. So I kind of like to start with the title and then the cover. So if you can tell us a little bit about of how you came up with the title and then the inspiration for the cover.
Well, if I had known consciousness conundrum was so hard to pronounce, I would have changed. I would have changed the title. Actually, I come up with a title before I ever start writing, and then I write to the title.
Okay.
What I think it's about. So I had the consciousness in my head, and then I'm thinking, well, I really don't know that much about consciousness. The spiritual consciousness, not the kind where you wake up in the morning and you're conscious.
Okay.
But this is a higher consciousness, a more mystical one. And so I had that one, and I thought, well, I really don't understand it. So I guess it's a conundrum to me, and I will research it. And as I'm researching it, I'll write it out so maybe other people can learn along with me.
Okay, that is interesting. Okay, and then for the cover, why did you go with this cover? It's a beautiful cover.
Well, actually, the first cover I had was kind of scary. It was dark. It didn't show what I want. What I was wanting was somebody that looked puzzled.
Okay.
And she looks like she needs help getting the answers. So I switched about and made it lighter and more conducive to people picking it up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it's a very interesting topic. Okay. Because I am a deep thinker and I love researching. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So let's start off with just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background as a writer.
Well, I started out writing when I was a little child. I wrote songs and little stories, and nobody taught me how to do it. I just seemed to come to it naturally. And as I got into high school and college, I wrote, term papers and things that the teachers would tell us to write. And then after I graduated from college, I ended up writing a column for a weekly newspaper, and that lasted for 4 years. And I also wrote some articles for our church newsletter. So I was pretty active at that time.
Okay, nice. Okay. And when did you get into publishing your own?
Publishing
your book. So is this the first book that you've published?
This is my third book.
Third book. Okay. Nice. So eventually after you were doing the column and the school stuff, at some point you were like, I want to put out my own book to the world.
Well, no, I started out writing online. There were some platforms that you could write articles on, and you got paid for how many visits you had. And then I started my own website. Okay. So one day I was thinking, I'm 73 years old, and I'm thinking, I have all these articles that I've written, short articles. What would it be like if I put it together as a book? So that's where I got the first inkling to do a book, which scared me to death because I had never done that before. But I ended up with one called Zen in the Art of Kitty Litter Raking. And it's humorous, and it's also tells, people how to find beauty in ordinary things. And that's been well received. So once I had that published, then I wanted to write another one. So I wrote another one about my spiritual journey from the time I was born until now, through different religions and faiths, until I was trying to find one that had resonance with me. So I wrote that one. That's called Walking a Crooked Path. And that one has been pretty well received too. So I started the consciousness conundrum, not really knowing what I was going to write, but what I do is I research and then I write, and then I research some more and then I write. I don't have a certain formula that I follow. I just, I'm reading along and I say, well, I don't know that much about that. Let me go research it and I'll come
Yeah.
back and incorporate it.
Yeah. I like that option of, choosing how am I going to put this together. Well, for the consciousness conundrum, can you tell us a little bit about what the book is about?
Well, it's about consciousness, which is everything that is. It's a spiritual term that scientists and spiritual leaders have been trying to struggle with for years, trying to come up with what the answer is. So I tried to put in little things like mindfulness and motivation and intuition and the things that you would use to get to a higher level of consciousness.
Okay, because when I was looking at the description and everything and like what the book is about, I was like, this is interesting. And I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of background knowledge about, just the consciousness. But when I think of it, what comes to mind is more so like being self-aware. And then I remember hearing something, I can't remember where I heard it. And it was something like, so about your thoughts. And it was very interesting because they were like, you're not your thoughts because you can think about your thoughts. And I was like, that is so interesting. So what would you say is the takeaway? Like, what do you want people to get from reading your book?
Well, I want them to get some idea of what consciousness is. And the conclusion, I say, consciousness is all around you. It is what everything is. And so it's the awareness of things outside of you. I'm sitting on a couch, but is it really a couch? Is the whole concept of reality versus illusion is very confusing, including to me. So,
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as, do you think religion and beliefs play a part in what people would make of what being consciousnness is, like being conscious is?
yeah, I think you have to be ready for it. You have to have gone through a series of steps of analyzing your own faith religion, and is it speaking to you? Do you want to know more? Or you have questions about things? And it's not going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not a book that the wide world is going to read. It's more for people that are on a search for spiritual understanding of their own path.
Yeah. 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 It's very interesting. I'm very intrigued and want to see what's inside of those pages. What do you think was the most challenging part of you writing this book?
Well, coming up with topics was tough for me. I'd have to put it down for a while and think, well, what am I going to write next? And then things would just float into my mind, like intuition, interdependence, being self-aware, things like that. And then it all fell together after that. But actually coming up with the subtopics was difficult for me.
Okay.
I used to tell my sister, I don't know what to write.
Yeah, okay, so what do you think about, I know AI is really big right now. Are you against using AI for, like, for example, ChatGPT to give you topics, or are you the type of author that you want everything to come naturally? Like, I want to.
Well, I want everything to come naturally, but I discovered this program called Pro Writing Aid,
Okay.
that you can put your chapter in, and it will make suggestions for rephrasing things that sound better or more you
Mm,
can understand it better. So I've been using that. After I get done writing it, I put it through that and make changes. There's a lot of editing that goes on.
yeah, that's okay. That's a good tool. I'm not against tools. I know that it's a very divided topic where people are like, no, I don't use, AI or anything like that. And then there's people who are like, yeah. I mean, for me, I don't mind using it to flesh out like, oh, I want to write about this topic. Give me some things that people are interested in.
Mhm.
Um, so for speaking of that, for your process of writing the book, did you start with an outline?
No, I start with the title.
The title.
The
Okay.
title comes to me in some kind of form of inspiration. I don't know whether it's in sleep or whether I'm doing something, but it comes as an inspiration, and then I work the book around the title. So
Okay.
I don't have any outlines or any real plans on how it's going to go. It usually, especially my first two books, it flowed really easy, and I was done with them really quick. This one was a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. And so have you written in any other genres?
No,
Or
I write nonfiction because I feel like I don't do fiction very well. I'm not very good at dialogue. So I do
okay.
all nonfiction. I tried it. My last book,
Uh-huh.
the one I'm working on now, I tried fiction. And I said, no, that's not me.
Yeah. You're like, I was
But within the book, I use personal stories to
like,
explain and talk about what I'm dealing with.
yeah. Okay. All right. And let's see here. Let's go to advice. So, what would you tell an author a person who wants to be an author, like if they have a bunch of ideas and they're just like, waiting for a sign, like to say, okay, I should just go ahead and write this book and put it out. What advice would you give to them?
Um, well, the first thing is to start on something. Excuse me, I have allergies. Um, to start on something, anything, you could write a journal or just write down some notes or something like that, kind of keep track of where your brain is going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And
that's mhm.
yeah, and so you don't have to start out believing you're going to write a book. Like I said, my first one came as a collection of articles I had already written. And I just sort of thought, well, why don't I put that in a book? So it wasn't anything I planned.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think it's so important for people to write. I think in this experience of life, we all have different perspectives, which I think is so interesting. There's a show. My God, what's the name of that show? This Is Us. And I really liked how they talked about one experience, but then they showed it from the different characters' perspective and how they experienced it. I really think that that's so interesting. So I'm a teacher and I always tell my students, write. You need to write because if you don't tell your story, we're not going to get your perspective. We don't
Right.
know, the narrative. So yeah, I always tell people if you feel like you have a book, write it. We live in a day and age now where anybody can really publish a book, so I think people should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I feel like we are at, let me turn it down a little bit, our trivia time. Okay. So it's gonna be more so it's a would you rather author edition. Okay. So I'm gonna have you pick a number from 1 through 4.
I'll pick 4.
Okay, so let's see what question number 4. Oh my God. People, it doesn't matter. I think this is the question, like literally, and I shuffled the questions and I was like,
I
well, let me
always
know.
get that one.
Yeah, people always pick this one, even though I shuffled it. But I guess it's popular. So would you rather only write at 3 a.m. or only with a typewriter?
I only write with a computer. My handwriting is really bad. I have essential tremors and you can't read. I can't read what I write.
Yeah.
So I usually get up in the morning and start writing, and sometimes I write all day. Sometimes I have to take a break. I can write till 3 in the morning if I'm on a roll, but
Yeah.
that's I don't get up at 3 and say I'm going to start writing.
Yeah. I admire that because I'm the type of writer, and it's probably bad because I have, as a teacher, I mean, we wear so many hats. I have to be like driven to write. I have to be in the mood to write. Like I wish that I could be, disciplined enough to sit down and just write and have a goal. But so that's really good that you say you write all day. That's amazing. I wish I had that. I could get so many things done.
Yeah, sometimes I forget to drink water and things like that.
Oh wow. So you're really, yeah,
when I
focused.
when I'm into it, then
Mhm.
into it.
Yeah, and I get that. Now I will say that like once I am like on a roll though, yeah, I'm literally in that world. Like I'm there on those pages. So okay, we're at our closing slide. So what is next for you, Miss Diane Wallace? Do you have another book that you're gonna put out?
Well, I'm working on a book. I'm having a little trouble with it. It's about growing up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan,
Okay.
and it's from my viewpoint, but I'm trying to also add in things of history and what type of people settled there, and so I'm just kind of lagging along here.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. But it's like I said, I feel like it's so important for us to take that time to share because I do a lot of research and I love when I'm, digging up a topic and I find something and I feel like it's so interesting when I'm reading from that person's perspective, because we could have several books on the same topic, but the way they experience it versus this person. So I just love that kind of stuff. So I'm rooting for you to finish that book. And definitely you're welcome to come back when you finish that book and tell us all about it and where we can find it. But in the meantime, for the consciousness conundrum, where can readers find this?
Well, it's on Amazon.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook page, author Diane Wallace. So I have links there that take you to it. I'm on Instagram. I'm on several other platforms that I tried to market things by myself and found I wasn't doing a good job. So I
Mhm.
hired a marketing guru. Her name is Nikki Lawley, and
Okay.
she's been putting things on my social media, like videos and blurbs and things about my book. So that's been helping get the word out.
Yes. Okay. And I think that is important too, because I know some people like to do everything by themselves, but marketing is a huge, I tell authors all the time, like like you write the book, but then marketing is a totally separate thing.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, absolutely. We'll definitely have the links in the description so people can find you. The Consciousness Conundrum, guys, go and check this book out. Miss Diane Wallace, we thank you so much for stopping by to share this with us. And you're welcome back anytime.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Author Interviews, and we will see you on the next one.